How did we know each other?
Um, I'm in the war room.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, but I had someone even after I joined the war room. I had been talking to a buddy of mine, Christy Kentel, and she's in BLT, and she's
So you're
been
in
talking.
both.
So I'm in both, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, okay. Because I
yeah,
talked to
yeah,
you on BLT and I'm like, what the heck? But I was like, I know
yeah,
you're in War Room too. Dude,
yeah,
what a
yeah.
small world. Isn't it great?
It's so small. I love it. It also means you need to do right by people, because it is a small world.
It is a small world.
Um,
Yeah, actually, okay, despite my flaws, and I love that you gave me grace because I did I did miss our meeting. But despite my flaws, I actually feel like one of the things that I do really well, and I hate to start this whole conversation with a compliment to myself, but like I ask very little of people and I try to give a lot. And because this world is so small, man, if you're a giver, it like my my balance sheet in the favor bank is very high because I
I
never make withdrawals. I only ever make deposits.
Yeah, I think that when we get to that point, um, having read The Go Giver, what, last year, 2 years ago, oh man, that had me check myself a bit. Like, how much am I really giving? And people say, "Oh yeah, Ty, you give a lot." And I'm like, "Do I?"
Dude, don't listen to anybody else. Listen to yourself. If you feel it, you know,
Exactly.
that,
Yeah,
yeah, if you
yeah.
don't feel it, that's a better determiner.
But yeah, and then when other people see it, right? So I don't know. I had a conversation about 2 weeks ago when someone had talked to me. We communicated quite a bit on LinkedIn, and he reached out to me on LinkedIn 2.5 years ago. Was like, I like what you posted, and I just want to talk to you. And I was like, really? This is a pickup line. And then we realized it wasn't, and we just kept conversing with one another. Former Marine, he just had a lot of cool things going on, but he was getting in entrepreneurship and he was in real estate. But he has ended up doing self storage and he's doing pretty well. But I mentioned that because 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we had a phone call finally. And the biggest compliment he gave me was like, "Who are you? You are not the person that I met 2 years ago." And I was like,
Dude, let people think you're not going to change, you know?
yeah. I was
Let them
like,
make that mistake.
okay. I said, well, he wanted to know that. He also wanted to know my faith journey. And he was just like, whew, you are jam packed with faith right now. And I was like, yeah, yeah. I'm living in trying to work towards living in a no excuse world, but also just going from a person who cut people off, right? You don't do right by me at a certain amount of time. Then I move on to a person that says, I wonder what they were going through at that time. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'll come back to that later on, or I might not at all because I'm really a believer in seasons. So,
Yeah, can I tell a personal story? I am not a lifelong faith-based person. In fact, I was a pretty no, I'll be completely honest. I'll tell you exactly what I was. I was a rabid atheist,
okay,
right? Rabid atheist, like anti-theist.
okay,
And but I studied it because I was always, in a weird way, I was always looking for the flaws. I wasn't looking for the knowledge or the wisdom. I was always looking for the flaws. I'm like, look, this is wrong here, this is wrong here. But what it did was, because I'm a very curious person, I was always looking for like, what's better? What's better? What's better? What's better? And it created a really interesting journey for me. And I'll give you, I mean, it's taken me about 20 years, 25 years where I've been on this journey. But I'll tell you that
sure.
over the last 5 years, what really happened was I read and read and read and read. And then somewhere along the way, I realized I'm like, the only thing I haven't read are the religious texts. I've read all the things against it, but I haven't read the source, all the positive stuff, all the
Oh yeah,
source material. And not to say that it's all good, but what I was able to do, and I'm this story has directly related to what you just said. What it did was it allowed me to like sort of learn the pragmatic lessons of whether it's Judaism or Christianity, or a lot of the other like the Stoic philosophies, and there are a lot of similarities.
yeah,
And it allowed me to learn these
definitely.
lessons. And because I didn't want to claim any faith, I wanted it got me to act in a way first, and then I realized later on, I'm like, man, all the things that I really find to be good behavior are Judeo-Christian values.
Hmm.
And so I have this weird sort of story where I behaved in a certain way. I still don't claim any religion actually, but grace, which you said, pettiness, judgment, forgiveness, all these things that I sort of sorted through before I came to, I go to church now for my fiance. I don't particularly find it very enjoyable, but I go for her. But it's interesting, like the journey of, like you said, people, every single person is flawed. I don't care how good they are, and they're all, they're trying their best. They got stuff going on, and I think sometimes, when life is good, you realize people keep stuff under the surface.
Oh yeah.
And like, dude, you just don't know. I mean, not everybody is like, I'm a very what you see is what you get person, but not everybody is that way. People got their privacy, and you just don't know when somebody is like, today I missed our meeting because I am an idiot. There's no good reason. But if I was like, hey, look, car accident, sickness, health,
Sure.
marriage problems, money problems, work problems, yada, yada, you'd understand. But like, not everybody gives you that stuff. So I love that you said that, because it does take a little bit of grace. You don't know what people have going on.
You don't. And I think also I had to get to a point where it may not be extended to me. And so, just be okay with it may not be extended to you. That was a hard pill to swallow. I think I'm still swallowing.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm surprised because
it might not be extended. Yeah,
because you're prior service, right?
Still in, actually.
What branch?
Army. Mm-hmm.
Bro, let me tell you my Army experience. Day one, they're like, "Hey, you messed this up." I'm like, "But drill sergeant, this not." They're like, "Nope, it's your fault." But it's his fault. It's like, "Nope, you're responsible." Yeah, they beat that into me good. They beat that into me good. So like, yeah, life's unfair. It's not going to come back to you. There's no cosmic justice.
I was like, oh, the extreme ownership. I think I've lived that a bit. Yeah, I'm actually on my I'm on my way. I would say I think I have like a 3 to 4 year runway. Before I retire. I determined that last year. But I've been working kind of on what I want to do when I grow up for probably the last 5 years, maybe. Probably.
Aren't we all?
I'm still figuring it out. It's kind of fun. But
Where do you live?
I've been doing real estate for a minute though, so yeah, just decide, hey, people start talking to me about real estate all the time, even when I wasn't in real estate. Like, hey, can you, because I like to do research, and I find my love language is really learning the learning different things, and I'm interested in how people move about. Why do they do the things they do? Why do they move the places that they move? And so, yeah, been doing real estate and stuff like that. But I eventually have my own portfolio and all that jazz. But I became a content creator last year.
Okay.
And started a podcast called the Tiny Steps, Big Moves podcast, where I talk to women who career pivot. And so we just talk about what motivated them to make that change, lessons they can learn, they could tell us, and then tiny steps they can give the listeners if they wanted to make that change. And boy, I'm having a good time.
I love that.
I was asked to do it a while ago. Hey, Ty, you have a radio voice. I don't know about that. But you can talk to people, and people tell you things that they may not tell other people. And I was just like, I don't know about that. And it was like, no, that's true. And so, yeah, I started last year, and I'm really liking it. I'm liking where it's going. And so I was kind of on the war room going, hey, what's that? Somebody asked about a camera, and I had been researching cameras, so I finally got a camera based on your recommendation and others, but mostly you. Then got lights and just working that whole aesthetic, Yeah, I'm getting there. Got my little Barbies in the background.
It's a process.
I'm getting there. It's a process. Yeah, I'm getting there. And so we're looking to do YouTube. So went down the whole rabbit hole of that. So I'm excited about that and what that's going to look like. And so that's part of my goals for this year. Just really working the Coach Ty brand, just taking it all in, and then and just being able to really talk to women and encourage women in all generations. I wrote when you write out, hey, what do you want to do? And I was like, in the end of the day, I like to be the thought leader in the space that, from the Generation X perspective, which I feel like is a lost generation, that some of us are out here doing stuff. And I know we get the short end of the stick. But it's some of us out here doing, and we are affecting change both for the generations behind us. And we're kind of showing them like, hey, we're the generation of latchkey kids, and so a lot of stuff we had to learn on our own, and some things we've had to unlearn to learn better. And so
Yeah, I love it.
yeah, so that's kind of what I'm getting at doing right now in the real estate space. I moved into multifamily last year, just studying, understanding it, did a lot of networking. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing now. I get women come to me all the time, asking me about real estate, how do I get started, and I just try to simplify it for people. I think some people have made it too complex.
Oh, real estate's the easiest business model that exists. Where do you live?
I live in Northern Virginia,
Oh, okay. And where do you invest?
Fayetteville.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, Fayetteville. I got my
Me
long
too.
terms there. I know you do. I got my short terms. I was actually talking to my property manager today because
Who's your property manager?
I have that's on Sand Hills.
Whoops.
Every yeah, I'll be honest. Every 6 months I feel like I need to fire them.
Let me tell you something. You know what? I have the opposite problem. Why don't you just hire my guy? I have the opposite problem. He's so good. I'm like, I just want to buy more rentals just because I want to leverage him more.
Yeah, I need that name.
Dude, just quit screwing around. Just call Roderick. This is so like everybody who
Okay.
invests in Fayetteville in the War Room uses Roderick because
Oh, really?
yeah, because he's the best.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I need that contact because it's just like, really, what's happening? The
Yeah.
latest one was, hey, no, that's not what I said. Oh, yes, that's what you said. Next thing you know, I got a new roof. I'm like, yo, you got ahead of the claim. So now I'm back trying to, yeah, like that was a $7,000 freaking mistake, man. Like, and I'm talking to her today, and I can hear my logical side going, what are you doing? You know?
Just
And
just quit.
and I was like, I was telling my mom, and so she was just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you've not fired." And it's like, get rid, you know.
I got somebody
So,
amazing. What is it? What is it called?
Sand Hills, I think is the
Property management, Fayetteville?
yeah.
Nope.
It's kind of funny though because I'm a licensed agent in North Carolina, and so I keep my license current. She's in the office that I've been in, so but at the same time, it's like my old property manager was different. We had a lot of communication. It was wonderful. But I would have gotten more rentals, I think, had I found the right person. And now I've moved on. I did short term rentals. I have 2 short terms in Gulf Shores, Alabama. One does very well, the other one not as well. So that one's going on the market here probably mid next month. So I'm ready to sell that off. And then, yeah, move into multifamily, smalls, 8 to 36 units. I just reviewed and sent to my guy the underwriting for a 32 unit outside of Huntsville. So I have a broker relationship there. So
Nice.
yeah, I'd like to stay in North Carolina, but me and everybody else at
Yeah,
this.
I mean, I got people investing in the Gulf Shores, Alabama as well. Like, there's
Yeah.
people investing everywhere.
There really is. So that's kind of what we're doing now on BLT. I'm enjoying that. The struggle is finding the right pod, right? So I jumped on one, realized in order for me to grow, I was in the mastermind all last year, and it was people who knew more than me, and then some that didn't. And there was requirements, of course, but I'm like, I don't want to do that again. I wanna be somewhere that people have this level and are higher, so I can strive to something. Just knowing myself that I'll turn into the teacher mode, and then I'll be giving, but I'm not sure what I'd get out of it. So I went into one pod. I released myself from that. Went to the leader and said, "Hey, I don't think this is good for me." And he was like, "No, you're more experienced." And I did it graciously. Then 2 other ones that were out there said they were open. They were actually closed. And then one never. I had my thing out there for like 3 weeks, and the one never responded. So I just released from that. And so now I'm just kind of like, I got my war room squad, but it's a little different from the BLT I was You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
different.
Well, I think there's a little bit of. I think BLT is a little bit. It's a little bit newer, and I think that matters.
It does.
Because I've been in both. I've been in both since day one.
Ah,
Um,
yeah.
so that matters, just the longevity of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's actually interesting. I don't know why, but like, there's something about BLT that I've had. I have a great pod now, but it was definitely a little bit of a challenge. So I don't know what the. I don't actually know what creates that friction, but it's a little bit harder to find like your people in that group.
It is. I think that also that you don't know who you don't know. And then when you get a group that's working well, I feel the same way. When you get a group that's working well, you know, there's not a new person coming in. You're like, you, you kind of like, I'm not really sure, but I get it. But I know that there's good in it as well, right? Like for instance, doing Tribe Talk last time was awesome, and
Yeah, Tribe
met
Talk is no joke.
Jeff and Lexi, and then next thing you know, Jeff and his partner Steven and I had a conversation yesterday, and then I said, "Hey man, this is what I've been doing," and they were like, "What?" And they're shifting to multifamily. I was like, "Hey man, I'll show you a sample of my LOI." I said it's very rudimentary, but you can use it if you want. And they were like, yes," and and so just sharing that was made me feel good. Like, hey man, giving them something that I learned or I'm learning. Um, but they also talked about the pods. They was like, yeah, pods are you're gonna have to spin the wheel a couple times. And so I was like, yeah, um, I will definitely do it and see where I am. Fortunately, I'm continually, working and getting after things I need to get after within, goals and stuff like that. So it's good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the same boat. I'm in the same boat. My war room squad is actually two of the guys that are in my were in my war room squad left war room, and we sort of talk on the side as like a
Okay.
smaller group. Now they kind of outgrew it. I don't know why they took me. I'm a charity case in that instance, but like you know what I just think of? I think about it like the long game. I mean, people will
Yeah.
come, people will go, and those who stick around will elevate, and then you just have to keep, finding the ones who are in it. It's I kind
Sure.
of give you the example of like conferences. Like I've been going to Bigger Pockets conference. This will be my fifth year now, and
Okay.
it's like, dude, by year five, you know who? Like when you show up, there's a small group of people that have been to every single one of them, and when they see
Uh,
you there, they're like, Alex is fucking serious. And so what
yeah.
happens is every year, like the group of regulars gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller
Small.
and smaller. Like these are the people that are really serious. And so I think Better Life is going to be the same way, where it's like, you know, a lot of people, and then like people leave, and the people that stick around the longest are the ones that are going to elevate. So it's just a little bit of a war of attrition. I mean, I
Yeah,
mean,
it happens.
yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
can see that from War. I can see that from War Room too. I mean, I feel like Dave gives a lot. There's a lot of value in there. I've learned a lot, just on my own, right? Just using some of his things on my own, and certainly reaching out to folks and things on that nature, or people reaching out to me, which has also been good. But even in my squad, I probably am most experienced in my squad, but it's a little bit different in the sense that, yeah, I'm most experienced. And then I listen, and it's like, okay, hey, how can I help in this way? But I also know that I also should be elevating in that. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, yep. Yeah, it's a give and take. I mean, I'm definitely in a moment of my life where I've done okay, not great. So I really don't feel like I'm much somebody who has too much to teach. Um,
hmm yeah,
but I do feel like I have a lot of value in just serving people for what they need, like
okay,
just time, and that's why I do these talks. I'm like, here, I'll just give you my time. I don't know exactly what a lot of people need, but I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like I'm a bit of an anomaly. Like, I don't have a business that I'm like I can teach you how to do this specific business, but I've
hmm
done extremely well in life in sort of knowing how to walk my own path. You know,
true.
I did well in real estate. Obviously, I live in Maui. I've done something right. Um,
Yes,
and
definitely.
I built a pretty big portfolio, and I have an absurd network, and it's growing. So I'm just like, okay. Sometimes I'm in a similar boat where I'm like, I don't know always like how to give to people, but I just kind of, I'm like, okay, but here's my time. Because maybe you think I can give you something, even though I don't always feel that confident. I'm like, somebody might look at me and be like, Alex, how do you do that? I'm like, oh, I'll tell you everything. I just don't know how to, I'm not an educator. So I think everybody, I
Right.
think the internet right now is like, you have to educate people. You have to give all this education. I'm like, that doesn't fit my personality,
Right.
but I will give you my time. So it's just finding your way to serve, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And if you do it, find it your way, then it makes it pretty easy to do. I think when we are outside of ourselves, it
Dude,
becomes hard.
that's why I record these. I record and publish. Well, I just started publishing these.
Okay.
Like, it's just strangers,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't, you and I never talked before. I don't think. Have we?
No.
No. So I just put this on the internet and people just sign up, and it's either sometimes it's Better Life, sometimes it's War Room, sometimes it's people that are on Instagram, and I just talk to
Yeah.
people. And like I don't know, it's just my way of going like, hey, it's not a podcast. I don't like doing podcasts, but I do like talking to people, and I think it's valuable to just, you know, sort of my value is like, hey, you know what? Like in a world where, you know, people are, even though we're super connected on the internet, everybody's kind of like feels isolated. And I'm like,
Disconnected.
here, let's just talk to strangers. We'll just talk to anybody. You know what I mean? We'll just talk to anybody. And so I
Yes.
think it's just my way. It's not a podcast. It's not a show. There's no format.
Sure.
It's just my way of going like, hey, I'll just show up and talk to anybody who might think that talking to me is valuable about whether it's real estate or cameras or
Yeah.
just
Yeah, no,
how to get out of your
no,
own.
Yeah, I think I get that. I do understand it. I do think that having gone and done a lot of conferences and then starting to learn truly strategic networking, if you call it that, people do want a sense of community. Even the person who says that they don't really does. It's just not sometimes understanding how to express themselves and how they will want it, and then just understanding what works best for you. I think becomes the thing. And I think that's what I learned all last year, you know, being in masterminds is, hey, I really like community. I really like getting with folks who are doing the things that I'm doing because I'm living, as you know, in two worlds. And so, and I can talk one thing in one way and one thing the other. And sometimes people don't know that I'm living in both those worlds, which is also a good thing. But yeah, it makes it interesting. And then, yeah, it just makes it interesting. And knowing that the path, I was having this conversation today with a friend of mine, and she was just like, you know what, Ty, what I like is that I feel like, you know, you already know what you're going to do when you grow up. And I was like, well, I'm
Gito?
getting there. Yeah, I'm getting
Yeah.
there. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
My 3 to
I
4
know.
months living outside the country is the big thing for me right now. So Spanish speaking.
Yeah,
all good.
I learn a lot of what I don't want to do, and that's the same thing sometimes.
Yeah, so that's definitely level value. I did have a question for you from my podcast video, YouTube related.
Hit me. I know everything.
You know a lot for sure. Because I have the podcast, I had thought about I'm going to launch my YouTube channel in 24. We know that for sure. But as I'm gathering, okay, my target audience and all things that, you know, we're taught about to have before we kind of go out there, the transitioning podcasts to video podcasts, I was kind of told, hey, Ty, those don't really do as well on a YouTube format. And so I thought, really? Because I can look at a lot of YouTube and a lot of videos, and I was like, a lot of those videos are people that are just like what we're doing right now, and interview or not, but there's also, of course, the talking head kind of thing too. But I just want to know what your thoughts were on that because I already have a podcast that I could put on video. I get asked about video, but I wanted to know what you thought about that, or just go with my brand that I'm building.
Let me say this back to you. You're like, I have a podcast. I want to put it on video. And somebody said that that's a bad idea. And you think that do you think that you should listen to them?
No.
All right. Conversation over. If you came to me and you're like, Alex, I want to buy rental real estate. And I was like, oh, no, that's a stupid idea. What would you do?
Like, yeah, no.
Yeah. What the fuck do you know, Alex?
Because I'm that person like, hey, what qualifies you to say that one thing, Yeah, I just thought it was really strange. But I do understand it because I have gone and I've done, my own little research, and it's like, okay, I just feel like I have a niche that has not been explored, and definitely hasn't been explored by me, because I'm one person and I'm unique, as I feel like everyone in this world is unique.
You're already
And
doing the podcast. You want to do YouTube. I mean, go do it.
yeah,
I mean, the market will tell you.
right, okay,
Yeah, I mean, you don't get to decide if it's good or not, or if people want to watch it. You don't get to decide that. They decide.
okay,
And so some stranger doesn't get to decide whether or not you can do real estate or whether or not you can do a podcast. The world decides.
okay. That's
So,
true.
I
That's
mean,
true.
it's hard,
It is hard,
right? It's hard. I mean, but look,
Yeah.
fucking Joe Rogan's on YouTube and he's a video podcast. And
Yes.
so is Diary of a CEO. I mean, some of the biggest channels on YouTube are video podcasts.
Yes, they are.
Like, yeah, what are you talking about? The All In podcast. I mean, Brandon's podcast. We're about to hit a million downloads in under a year. Like, we do a video podcast. Bigger Pockets puts
Yeah.
theirs on YouTube. David puts his on YouTube. Chris Williamson, Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
That person, you should not take advice from that person at all.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of strange, but I thought it was strange. I did say, at the end of the day, I have a podcast. I do my interviews are video. We do video and audio. Obviously, I upload audio.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't see why this would be an idea.
No, just
But
upload it. It's hard. Look. Okay, I'll say this. One, YouTube is a discovery platform.
okay,
So if you do a good job, it will send people to you.
okay, yeah, for the
Okay.
algorithm. Gotcha. Yeah,
That said, it's harder because YouTube is so big. It's hyper competitive. So you probably won't get
It
as many
is.
views on YouTube. That being said, if as you do it more and you get a little traction, you want to put some money into it, you can do thumbnails, you can do your titles, you can
yeah,
get better.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
you can't get better if you don't do it at all. So like,
If I don't start, yeah, that's kind of how I was thinking about it.
yeah,
To
I'm
be
like,
honest.
what
And
is
then
that?
also,
What is that logic? Like, don't do it because it might not work. That's
it hasn't done as well, or I just was like, what? I don't, but I was taken aback by it, but at the same time, things that normally take people a pause, for me, that's not never been my thing. It's been what drives me. It's not that's not good nor bad. It just is like, what do you tell me I can't do it? Oh no, I'm definitely gonna do it now because you told me
yeah,
I couldn't do it, and I think I've been like that most of my life. So
yeah.
you still
Well,
not gonna do it?
I mean, that was a fun little exercise. Now ignore them and go do it.
Nah, or yeah, and go do it. Yeah, so I did have a research the thumbnail and all that, and then the other thing because I noticed, as you mentioned, that the downloads what downloads you make it one way or the other. I also wanted to know as far as platforms are concerned. Like I have Riverside, and but I do my podcast. We actually record on Zoom, and then I do all my beautified stuff to it. Did you have a platform you recommended, or just go with? Because I know oftentimes they say go with what you know, and then you can refine from there.
What are we using now?
I record my things on Zoom now, and then I do all my
what
editing.
do I use? What did you sign up? What are we using now? You're on my space. What am I using?
Riverside, yeah. I tried Riverside when I first started my podcast, and it was horrible, to be honest. It kept dropping
Well,
people. The video wasn't the best.
I find that
It's
Zoom. The problem is with Zoom is it's not a dynamic look. It's a very static look.
I agree.
Riverside, like right now, I have you blown up and I'm small, but when it outputs it, I can do whatever I want.
Okay.
So I like that. Two, Riverside will do editing built in, so
And
like I can add captions, I can add a logo, I can, and then the other
that's
thing
true.
Riverside will do now is it'll do short clips AI for
Short
social.
clips, yeah, I noticed that because I kept
So
when
it,
I went down from it, and I had a guest. This was last year, and we had to read. The reason I went to Zoom is that we had to redo her interview, and I thought, man, I don't want to do this again. And that happened to me twice, and that's why I moved over to Zoom and I stayed there. But I kept and then Riverside was like, hey, what do we do to keep you? I'm like, man, you guys have ruined like 2 interviews, and it's just not good. And I was really liking the platform, but I'm willing to try it again for sure.
Well,
Just because
I'm not selling it to you. You asked me what I use or what you recommend, what I recommend, and this
Yeah,
is what I use. So I don't know what's best for you. Like I'm not telling you Riverside's necessarily better, but
yeah,
this is what I use, and I've I find it to be better than Zoom, but that's just my experience, not necessarily the
yeah,
also the StreamYard.
yeah, yeah. StreamYard too. Yeah, I know a bunch of people who use that. But yeah,
So
that was just my thought process. I do agree with you. Zoom keeps trying to add different things, which I get. Um, I also get being to use it for other things. Like right now, I'm doing a course. I'm doing a mini course on leadership. Imagine that. And so I'm doing that through Thinkific, and that's been interesting and kind of helps me to understand the limitations of Zoom, if that makes sense, as I'm recording for that course. So
yeah,
yeah,
uh, I like Riverside. I mean, they're always updating, so I'm not saying Riverside's one and done forever. That's what I use right now.
yeah, yeah, that works. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for your time. I don't want to take up too much of it, but this has been cool.
My absolute pleasure. Are you coming to the Denver Better Life Summit?
I just decided, I told the gentleman yesterday that I just decided I was going to be at it. Yeah.
Good. Buy your tickets.
I need to buy my ticket. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am going
And
to.
and today we launched a Better Life affiliate program. So if you know anybody that wants to join the tribe, we'll pay you.
Oh, really? Nice.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Affiliates are always nice.
Yeah,
Always
let's
nice.
go.
Yeah. I plan. Are you going to RebCon? Reb, W-E, Reb,
Rubicon.
Rubicon.
I don't think so. Not this year. I went the first year and I haven't gone the last 2 years. I know Dustin really well. We're buddies, but
Okay.
no, it's just been bad timing for me.
Yeah. I
Living
think.
in Maui, it's like I can't. I have to do everything I want to do. I have to do it on the island.
Oh, imagine that.
I know. I know. Don't feel bad for me.
Feel bad for you.
Feel bad for me. My life is hard.
Totally not gonna feel bad for you. But no, no, it's been it's yeah, I plan to go because I hadn't gone before. Also, there is a group there, Veterans Connect, because my big why is to build a veterans village that supports women veteran homelessness, and they're doing that out there in outside of St. Louis. And so my goal is to go out there, see, volunteer, do I think a couple hours of administrative volunteer, and just kind of see how the operation works. And so that's something that I can take for me for future. So, so it's kind of two part for me. You know what I mean? So
Love it. I love doubling up on conferences like that. You're like, oh, I'm gonna go and do this useful thing and this other useful thing while I'm away.
yeah, and I just wanted to do conferences that hadn't done before. I was like, hey, some 2 years in a row, somebody mentioned this. Maybe I'll go to that this time, and then I'll go to Better Life. And someone had a ticket for what is it? Best ever.
I
And
am going to
so
best ever.
so that was the like. So I think I'm gonna try to do those three, and then it'll just be chill after that for a minute. But hey, thanks Alex for your time. And yeah, I'll keep chatting you up, and if I have any other questions reference to the video piece, I will let you know.
Yeah, let me know. I can help. Always happy to help. Yeah, thank you. Here, stay on for a second. I'm gonna let this thing finish recording, as you know, with Riverside.